Any government in the world runs for a second term on the basis of performance. So if you are going to talk, please let's talk about the coming of President Buhari. Let's not talk about Akwa.
We're going to that next. We're going to that next. In all this,
go on.
In all this, Your Excellency, the present administration, Governor Udom Emmanuel, a man who you brought to become governor of the state, has said that your tenure was focused more on building of monuments and not empowering people like he has done in his first term.
Well, you, unless you were in Lagos, unless you are a Lagos returnee, otherwise, if you are not a Lagos returnee, you will know that I was described as the governor who turned boys into men. If there was a government that empowered Akwa Ibom people, it was my administration. So much so that whenever we had any little change, towards the end of the year, I paid what we call Akpabio 13 months salary to civil servants. I not only pay their pensions and gratuity, because I hear all sorts of stories. When you leave office, people feel that they have the monopoly of records, and so they can distort facts. Unless you are from Lagos, the number of young people in this state through integrated farmer scheme that are empowered, I train them and give them 500,000 naira. When you employ one additional person, I give you 1 million. And they were in badges. And outside that, the number of special assistants, but for the first time in the history of Akwa Ibom, youths were engaged in governance, unless you are from Lagos. And even some of you that were from Lagos, I appointed you here. I brought some of you here. I met special assistants, senior special assistants, unless you are from Lagos. You want me to name the children? I can name not less than 49 boys on the ground now that I met what they are today on the basis of empowerment. What do you call empowerment? Is it the WADEP, the Women in Agriculture Development Program? In their billions, I shared out billions to them to engage in agriculture and to buy seedlings and all that. And then people, there was a massive production of food, both from integrated farmers. Even the blind man, you here, that met me was able to open a fish pond and was selling large. He used to send me fish every week. Unless you are from Lagos, that is when you will not know that the government that had the highest level of empowerment in Nigeria, of young people, of women, of adults in Akwa Ibom said, the Interministerial Direct Labor Project was not done inside the bedroom. Neither was it done as a family affair. In Oron alone, for me to appease the youth of Oron, when I got approval in 2009 to close Oron Road, to be able to construct a runway across the whole Oron Road, I went there and I gave 250 million naira worth of interministerial paid local government in Oron, and we made sure we gave them 1.2 billion cash for them to be able to undertake direct labor jobs in Oron alone, and unless you are from Lagos. So please don't tell me something like there was somebody who say I was okay. How do you measure the Egyptian civilization? You can only do that by going to look at the pyramids. By the time you look at the pyramids, you'll be shocked. When somebody says that I was building monuments, the person will be right, because in the Niger Delta, no road lasts 6 months because of the nature of the construction. And therefore, I had to bring in a special construction. I went to Düsseldorf in Germany, and I picked on what they used to call the Autobahn roads. I brought the configuration here and changed it. And so we're not just putting asphalt on the ground and then doing a layer of putting red soil on the ground and then putting bitumen and stuff. We're not doing construction with a wheelbarrow. We did not bring in wheelbarrow contractors. We brought in the best construction company called Julabeja, and they moved their headquarters in the south from Port Harcourt to Akwa Ibom. So unless you're from Lagos, the reason why people said I build monuments is because by the time they wrote petitions against me, and the then Minister of Works, Senator Dagash, came and they tried to go in, they were shocked with the thickness of the asphalt. And I explained to them that Akwa Ibom said we're just lucky that today they are paying derivation, and that one day oil will perish, oil will diminish, and what will happen to us? That I have to build monuments. I have to build infrastructure that will last. 9 years after the construction of something like Kanem Road, there is no single pothole. You talk about first tenor. After the dualization of Ikere to Abak, there was no road to a place called Etimegbo. They had no road from 1970. The Bailey Bridge they had had collapsed, and so they could not get home. A man was carrying his child across that Bailey Bridge, a 7-year-old child. The man insisted that he wasn't going to go through Abba. He wasn't going to go through Abba to be able to bring his child to school in neighboring Abak. And so he attempted to pass there. The child fell inside there and died. He jumped in and picked the child, but the child had drowned. He sat there and cried for 5 hours, said, what was he going to tell the wife at home? The only son that they had. And so the first thing I tackled, when I went for election, when I went for campaign, I did not have access to Itimekbo. People did not know where Itimekbo was. Forget people who are doing politics of the stomach and they are talking nonsense about God's will Akpabio.
Okay,
so the 67 kilometers of that road with that bridge was done in my first time.
Okay.
And thereafter, we went through and then we were able to get to this secondary school that is giving us glory, done by Chief Abraham, a top fed secondary school. We did the road there. Then we also attempted to move from there towards Ukanafon.
Okay.
And other places. So please let me.
You talked about
why I'm mentioning this to you. You started the story, not me. You started the issue of first time, and so I'm giving you roads. The first road that was named after the first cardinal in West Africa is only 1 kilometer, 1.2 kilometers or so, and that is Cardinal Road. Okay. The owners of the road reclaimed the road, and so we had plantain on the road. We had cassava planted on that road. It was done in my first time. Okay. I just mentioned Queen's Drive.
Before Eddie takes you on the president, let's just react to this. The 31 industries you said